Today's episode comes to you straight from the Foundation Insurance Services podcast studio, your home for elevating voices, inspiring leaders, and building the community one conversation at a time. If you're enjoying the journey, we'd love for you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps these stories reach even higher.
Expert never sat well with me. Excellence works better because it's something you always strive for. You can't. You're not there. It's always an action. It's always a movement towards something, but you haven't arrived at expert. You're just in the pursuit of excellence.
Hey there, welcome back to Above and Beyond, where excellence meets elevation. I'm your host, Jan Simon, and this season we're raising the bar, diving into the passion, purpose, and defining moments of leaders who don't just aim high, they live there. Big ideas, real stories. Let's get into it. Sometimes the most powerful stories aren't about a straight line. They're about everything that happens in between. Tonight's guest was born in Milwaukee and raised in New Berlin, Wisconsin. But his journey would eventually bring him to Arizona in the mid-1980s, chasing opportunity and trying to make ends meet. College started in psychology, but life had other plans. And work quickly became the classroom, from selling high-end men's clothing to learning every side of the auto glass industry, sales, installation, and leadership. He spent a decade mastering the craft before taking a leap of faith in 2001 to start Auto Glass Excellence, a company now celebrating 25 years in business. Along the way, he's built more than a company. He's built a life, 33 years of marriage, 2 kids, 3 grandkids, and a philosophy that life isn't about the dates. It's about the dash in between. Tonight, we get to explore that dash with Phil Passante.
Hello.
Hello.
That sounds better on paper.
Well, welcome. How are you doing tonight?
Good.
Good.
A little whiskey is going to help.
That's good. Let you the thought. I always say, for whatever reason, I think better once I have a glass, and I think it's the inhibitions just kind of go, okay, I can just allow the thought process to go. So,
Well, maybe I'll find myself more fascinating the longer I...
the more you drink, the longer you talk. So you become, hey, I'm the most interesting man in the room. So, Wisconsin, Milwaukee, New Berlin.
A suburb of Milwaukee.
Okay. Is that south of Milwaukee? New Berlin?
Direct west. In between...
Okay,
You've
I
heard
was
of Waukesha.
thinking east. I'm like, isn't the water direct?
Water's east.
That's
Spent
funny.
a lot of time on that water, but...
I spent 3 months with a company that is actually based out of Milwaukee, and I had to go up there for training for 3 months, and I was there in January, February, and March, and it was cold AF.
Well, that'll cure you from ever coming back.
It's like, it was brutal. I can remember landing and going to get my rental car and just like, oh my God, how do people live in that? It's so cold. And then
summer.
And then it was beautiful. Like the end of March was gorgeous. I mean, it's absolutely stunning. April, I think I had to go back a couple times for different things. And, you get down by the lake and just the flowers and the bloom. It's absolutely beautiful. There was one time I went down by the lake. It was middle of winter because it was cold and whatever, but the ice was like...
Piling up.
It was crazy. I was like, oh my God, that's wild.
It builds up pretty good.
So what did that look like for you? What did growing up in Milwaukee and New Berlin look like for Phil?
It was idyllic. We moved out to the suburbs. I went to kindergarten in Milwaukee, kind of a rougher neighborhood. Dad wanted us to get out into the burbs, and he bought a small home. I think we lived in 1,200 square foot home. I spent my childhood with my brother in a 10 by 10 room, and we thought we were wealthy.
Isn't it crazy? I think about my childhood home. Well, the first one, the one that like really is like where most of the memories were made. And I think how big it seemed, yet it was so small. Like it was probably the same, 1,200 square feet. I mean, it was one bathroom. I don't think the bathroom we had a basement that was unfinished.
We had one bathroom. Eventually, when we were teenagers, my dad added a half bath.
Okay, so next year, and it's so crazy because I think now, like, I don't know that I'd buy a house that didn't have 3 bathrooms. I don't know why, but it's like, that's the number for me. I got to have 3 bathrooms. Anyways.
There were 3 of us, me, my brother, my sister.
Okay.
Yeah, I was
Are
the
you?
oldest.
You're the oldest.
Mhm.
Okay. By how much?
18 months.
Oh, okay. So not too bad. You're
No, they had us all fairly close. My sister's 5 years, though,
okay.
younger than me.
Sports, band, piccolo. What'd you do when you were growing up? What was Phil like? Were you just a troublemaker, a greasehead?
You know, I was a subtle troublemaker. I was a collaborative troublemaker.
Okay.
Tend to get people to do my bidding for me. Hey, I dare you.
Little Tom Sawyer action going on.
You want to paint this fence? I exhibited some leadership skills when I was a kid. I ran in a neighborhood where most of the kids were older than me.
Okay.
We lived in a very wooded area. We were surrounded by woods, so any direction you went, you were out in the forest. And a lot like Tom Sawyer, we were having adventures, building forts and having BB gun fights and all the things that, you're not supposed to do today, but that we did back then.
We did that all the time. I almost had a thought and I was going to share something. I decided, nope, I'm not going to share that. It's so crazy because I think about that. I grew up in a small town in Washington, and we used to, I can remember not only the BB gun, but we didn't shoot each other with pellet guns and 22s, but like we would walk to the end of the street almost with the 22 rifle and shoot stuff. Some of it alive, some of it not so alive.
Some of it looked like an octagon with a red.
Exactly. So it's crazy because I think about now, like, growing up here in the city, we'll call it, we're suburbs, but it's kind of city. I mean, big. There's really nowhere you can do that. Like walk to the end of the street and just do stupid stuff.
No.
And of course, everything now is recorded. So it's
And
like,
that 22 at the end of the street today is a felony.
right.
And back
exactly.
then, the police would have confiscated it and told your parents and,
Probably would have taken it to I had the chief of police lived next door and the sheriff deputy lived across the street. So they probably would have just taken it to my dad and said, hey.
I always kind of went my own way as a kid. It was one of those things where, like, the kids in the neighborhood were older than me. So in order for me to get my way, I had to figure out a way to manipulate the conversation or, sell my idea, And, these were kids that were 4 or 5 years older than me. That's a big difference. So
do you think some of that translated to moving forward into what you've done with your life?
I think so. I think I always wanted to be a persuader because I had self-serving reasons. I wanted to play the game I wanted to play. They wanted to play kick the can. I wanted to play, capture the flag. And so I'd sell them on my idea.
Right.
They want to play baseball. I want to play football. And, you got 8 kids making a decision. Somebody had to come up with the reason why. And I seem to always have persuasive ability to.
I was talking to somebody. I asked somebody on the podcast. I asked if they had known what kick the can was, and they didn't know.
Oh,
And we used to play it all the time. We'd play it all the time. And I used to jump. I'd hide on the neighbor's roof, and then jump off many times doing a flip as I was coming off the roof.
Oh, that had to be impressive.
Just because. And it's funny because, man, we played kick the can all the time. And then you set up boundaries because there are kids that were really stupid good at hiding and other ones of us that got ADD. Like, you want me to sit still for how long? I can't do that. So
Right.
Hence the jumping off the roof. When you think back on your childhood, were there people that had positive or negative impacts on you as you were growing up?
How far back do we go? There were the 2 older boys in my neighborhood, Brad and Tim. They were 5 years older than me, and we shared ideas. And we used to talk about living off the land. And Tim went on to do that.
Really?
I moved to rural Colorado.
Oh, wow.
Lived in we didn't have a grid back then. It was an off-the-grid home, and he literally fended for himself.
Wow.
And that idea was implanted when we were, I was
young.
6 and they were 9.
That would be so cool. Sometimes I think it'd be nice to just go live off the grid. Just disappear into the mountains and leave all the worries behind, which I'm sure I'd still have worries. But that just like sometimes I'm like, oh. So when you got into high school, junior high, were you into sports or anything in school?
I played sports by default.
Okay.
I grew rapidly. I entered high school 5'10" and 165 pounds of
Oh,
solid
wow.
muscle just by accident. So you enter that size as a freshman, and you learn that seniors want a piece of you, and juniors want a piece of you because you're
big.
a bigger and intimidating kid, and you're just a freshman, So I kind of entered high school with a target on my back, and by default ended up in football.
Okay.
I could tell you honestly, I didn't even know how we scored the game. I was a defensive end and an offensive guard. I asked the running back which way I was supposed to block as an offensive guard, and as a defensive end, I was told to contain or get the quarterback.
Oh, wow.
And if we scored, I had no idea.
No idea.
Clue. I could care less. I never looked at a playbook in my life.
No kidding.
I was
Just
so...
out there, do whatever.
Everybody was a Packer fan,
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted to be in the woods as quickly as I got home.
Are you a Packers fan to this day? As
Again,
much as you could be.
I am a Packers fan, but it's a little later in life than I understood the game of football. But playing it,
No.
I had no interest in. I just like there's an aggressiveness that all young men have. High testosterone, and you just want to hit people. And I just wanted to hit people, and so I was able to take out that aggression because I was generally at the time a gentle giant. In a sense, I was a giant among kids, and I didn't want controversy or trouble or anything. I wanted to be the peacemaker. But it ended up finding me just because of my size at the time.
Gotcha.
So I got out on the field and I was able to hit people, and it was one of those things that kind of let it all out.
Gotcha.
And then you'd have to do it in, lunch or the library. So
That's funny. Probably better to do it on the field.
it was.
So, when you got done with high school, because your bio says you went through to psychology, University of Wisconsin, Madison? No,
Yeah,
Wisconsin.
Well, growing up a bigger kid and then having that target on your bike, I was kind of an ugly duckling when I was growing up. I had big hair and braces, and I was a bigger kid and just developed a little quicker than everybody else. And then all of that shed, but the confidence
never came with
it. So, my mom was a big fan of Wayne Dyer, and so she was my sounding board.
Okay.
We were talking about our parents earlier. My mom was my sounding board. I got home and, she helped me straighten my shoulders and, look the world in the eye and give me words of encouragement that she read in either, a Wayne Dyer book or a Shirley MacLaine book,
That's funny.
So I was interested in psychology and the way people develop.
Okay.
Because I think my mom had those conversations with me.
Do you remember at that point having any thoughts on what you thought you wanted to do with your life? I mean, or were you just kind of going through?
I wanted to help people.
Okay.
I was a good listener.
Okay.
I had a lot of friends that were girls. Girls made the best friends because they truly want somebody to listen to and somebody that will listen to them. And so back then, my best friend was a girl, and the girls at school relied on me, when they wanted to talk about issues that they're having with their boyfriends. So, that need to help people was ingrained early in life by being effective at it and by listening.
That's really cool. So when I was in high school, and you're probably a couple years older than me, maybe one or two.
I'm thinking a few more than that. I'm 61.
You got me by 6 years.
Okay.
So 55. So there was a program when I was in high school called Natural Helpers that was similar to what you're talking about. Like you were, I don't want to say appointed, maybe elected by your peers of people that, you were a good listener. They took us, I was kind of elected to do that, I guess. I don't even know how it became that, but we went off to a weekend retreat, and they kind of taught us some of the listening skills and things like that. Was there any training pre-psychology stuff in college that helped you learn how to do that? Or do you feel like that was just through maybe some of the, we'll call it older kids picking on you as a younger kid, where you realized that you would like to have somebody in that position for you?
I think it's a combination of that, having a mom that was always there for me. And then, I hung out with older kids in my neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
And so the perspective when I got to school from those older kids, the bullies, let's call them, was one thing. But then I had a safe place to come home and be with friends that were, 3 to 5 years older than me. And they gave me, confidence that, and an assurance that it will pass, And, I don't know. It just carried out. It was a theme in high school for me. The drinking age in Wisconsin was 18.
That's rough.
Well, I didn't drink.
Oh, okay.
I was always a rule follower. I don't know why. I score super high on protective services in my personality profile. So I was just a rule follower. And when I think about, all the kids that I took home from parties that, drank to excess because I didn't drink. They still remember that to this day. I go back to high school reunions and they're like, you never drank. You always kept an eye on us. And I did.
That's cool.
I drove them home and made sure that keys were taken. And that was before drunk driving was, really, Mothers Against Drunk Driving existed.
That's when the mothers were driving the car with the Coors Light in their hand and the baby was drinking it sitting on her lap.
Cheers.
So, okay, off the wall, random question. What was, and I'm going to say toy, but it doesn't have to be a toy like a young child toy. What was your favorite toy as a child, or as anywhere in that child to, we'll call it 18-year-old? Did you have something where it's like you were fascinated by it, or it?
My dad's old erector set.
My brother had one of those.
I was fascinated by it. I put it together and made
stuff
things that moved. So when he gave me that, it was an antique at the time, and probably today it would still be.
Back before they sissified every lawn darts, the erector sets, the metal erector sets. My brother had an erector.
Just made a reference to lawn darts. I have a barbecue on Friday. I have a group of men that I hang out with, and we call ourselves the Buzzard Bait Bicyclists.
Okay.
And anyway, we're having a barbecue, and there's 35 of us. And I said to the guy he said, "What can I bring?" He said he has lawn golf or whatever, and I said, "Oh, how about some jarts?" You remember? That's what they were called. They were called jarts.
Jarts. My grandparents had a set, and every time we went to their house, that's what we played with.
Oh, dodge the jart. Remember, you threw it straight up in the air, and everybody ran, scattered for cover.
Yeah. You know what's funny is they had an actual dart board in their basement, and I don't remember what my sister did, but one time she made me mad. I threw a dart and stuck it in her calf. I have I could not tell you. I mean, it was one of those, stupid yawn moments, but anyways.
Well, at least it hit the calf.
Right, exactly. Didn't hit anything really too important. But no. So you were in Milwaukee, eventually made it to Arizona. What brought you to Arizona?
So I'm selling men's clothing for a Jewish clothier, and they were huge in the Wisconsin area. Anybody that knows Wisconsin knows Cons.
Okay.
And they remember the home of the 2-for-1 suit sale.
Okay.
He was the original. Al Kahn was a true service sales driven person. And anyway, he allowed me to be part of his organization, and I worked for Cons for 4 years selling men's clothing. And I had a girlfriend that whole time, 4 years. And she decided that after 4 years, she might move. And I said, "Oh, great. I'm up for I was always up for an adventure." I said, "Where are we going?" She says, "This is something I think I need to do on my own." So the writing was on the wall, that this 4-year commitment I had made
no longer
was not really. So I asked my buddy, she went on a retreat, went to Africa for a month. It was her final year of college. And I asked a buddy of mine at Cons, Ron, who was an influential part of my life. He was a 35-year-old at the time that I was 20, 21.
Okay.
And he had been in my life for the 4 years I worked at Cons. And I said, I think I want to move. I want to move where, I was a huge outdoorsman.
Okay.
Fishing, hunting. I skied. I name it, I've done it. Mm-hmm. I windsurfed. I had 3 windsurfers I kept down in Milwaukee.
Okay.
For the lakefront. And it seemed I worked 6 days a week. And on my day off, I felt like Ziggy.
What am I doing?
The big cloud, it was always raining on my day off, and I said to him, where can I go where I don't have to deal with the weather? And he said, my parents live out in Apache Junction, Arizona. It was one day I'm going to move there. Well, Ron was one of those guys that if Ron said it, it must be good. I quit my job. A week later, I packed a U-Haul. I drained my savings account, and I started driving west.
Wow.
My parents were in the driveway like, you're really doing this? You don't have a job? You don't have a place to stay? And I said, I'll figure it out. And I put a U-Haul trailer on the back of my Toyota. Well, at the time, I think they were called SR5s.
Oh, yeah, Toyota truck. The first gen.
And I got to about I-17 in Camelback, and I saw a sign that said, first and last month's free. $200 a month studio apartment.
You're like, sold.
So I ended up at 15th Avenue in Camelback.
Oh my gosh.
And 1986.
Dang. What did, kind of rewinding a little bit, what did working at the men's clothing, was it a department store?
It was just a fine men's clothing store.
It's like Men's Warehouse type of thing?
Like Men's Warehouse, but, the original.
Okay.
Well before Men's Warehouse.
Okay. Did any of the experiences there help mold you into kind of where you went in that 4 years? I mean, did it help you with obviously you made a huge jump from that into glass.
Well, there's time in between there. But So yes, service, finding out a way to say yes. To people, even when it seems impossible. I need both these suits by tomorrow. I'm leaving on a flight. So then I've got to go back and sweet talk the seamstress or whatever, and see if we can get this thing done for them. And so, you're not only selling to the customer, but you learn how to sell to your fellow employees. You learn how to treat them with kindness and respect so that when you do need something, like 2 suits sewn overnight, they're willing to help you. So I think you couldn't just be a good salesperson and then treat the people behind the scenes with disrespect. They wouldn't do your bidding for you then. They wouldn't help you. So I think the biggest thing I learned is how to be collaborative, how to be kind to people that you need.
So you came out to Arizona, 15th Avenue in Camelback, which at that point was...
Still kind of sketch.
Oh, was it sketch back then?
Had I believe a stripper on one side, and based on the arguments, maybe a pimp on the other side of me.
Oh, nice.
But I ended up befriending the apartment rental manager.
Okay.
And she says, hey, listen, you're a little too white picket fence America for this side of town. And I said, what does that mean? She goes, and I said, this side of town. Or she said, this side of the valley. I didn't even realize I was living in a valley.
Okay.
Like, back in 86, you didn't know what Arizona was. I honestly thought it was nothing but, I thought it was going to look like the savannah, with a couple of cactuses and some big sand dunes.
And camels walking all over.
Yes, I did. You'd have to crack an encyclopedia to see what Arizona was. So, you didn't have phones. Just
looking
Google
stuff up.
So I didn't realize I was living in a valley, and she transferred my lease over to the East Valley to a brand new facility in Mesa.
Okay.
And that's when my life began.
Gotcha. So you moved to Mesa. What were you doing at that point for work and life?
Taking independent jobs. I was taking odd jobs through temporary services.
Okay.
And every time I took an odd job, I was offered a job. Because the one thing I do, I may be lackluster when it comes to like football. I didn't want to learn football. I had no interest in it. But I always wanted to hit hard and be the hardest hitter on the team. Or when I'm out doing a job, I want to be the hardest worker on that temporary crew.
Gotcha.
So I always ended up with job offers. But I said, you know what, I'm just taking some time to learn the valley. I explored every inch of Arizona.
Nice.
At that time.
That's cool. When did you meet your wife?
1989.
Okay, so a couple years after getting down here.
Yeah.
Years after getting down here.
1989.
In some of the information that you sent over to me, you said that you were working on quite a few odd and end full-time jobs here and there, just jumping around. Was that all that space in that when you moved down here?
Oh, yeah, that was playtime.
Okay.
That was, when I got here at night, I came down from Flagstaff. It was snowing.
No kidding.
I got here in November of 86, and it was raining in the valley.
Mm-hmm.
I slept in my car until that place opened. But when the day broke, I could see palm trees and citrus.
You're like, where did I get you?
And I could see mountains.
That's awesome.
So I thought I was in playground heaven. And so I took enough work to exist so that I could play and I could learn, where the areas are that I'm going to explore next.
When did auto glass come into play, or when did the glass stuff come into play?
So my wife, who was a girlfriend at the time, had an aunt and uncle that owned a large automotive center in town.
Okay.
Multiple locations, and they approached me and said they wanted to start an auto glass division, and that they would kind of let me take the bull by the horns and run with it, but that I'd have to learn everything there is to learn. Mm-hmm. So, I started by, originally they were subcontracting to Safelite.
Gotcha.
They would generate a job, and then they'd subcontract to Safelite, and I knew immediately we'd have to bring that in house. Mm-hmm. So, my first order of business was to hire technicians. We had a built-in referral source, so to speak, with all these counters and service writers. They could see that a piece of glass was broken, and they could refer to the glass division.
So service like repair service, not body shop service.
Right.
Okay.
It was a repair service.
Okay.
So I started that. I went to school for it. I went to auto glass technician training, and I built their business from scratch. I started calling on insurance agents, and that was back in 1990, and got to know all the agents in the area and that they needed our service. And as long as I could perform well and I could represent them well, they would consider using us, Now, back then it was kind of goofy, too. There was a lot of glad handing that went on, so I did play a little bit of golf and things like that to get to know people.
Have you ever had to give away 20 pounds of Omaha steak to replace a windshield?
No. Oh, back then, though, there was the original JC Glass. Junior Coker used to run around you can edit this if you need to, but they used to run around with call girls in a van.
Kidding. Really?
Mm-hmm. Agents would disappear for a little bit and then come back.
Wow.
That was these were the old West days. I walked in to my first sales call. I had all these clothes from Wisconsin, these suits and ties, and I walked into I'll remember Terry Dobratz, American Family Insurance. He's no longer an agent, but he says to me, "Son, you're going to have to lose that shirt and tie. You're in the Wild West now." He had a cowboy hat on, and
that's funny. That's awesome. Welcome to the Valley.
Welcome to the Valley.
What did those early days teach you about the business that you thought, okay, if and when I do this myself? I don't even know if that was an early thought for you, but let's say, how did you determine what was going to differentiate you from other glass companies at that time?
This episode is made possible by our partners at Built Different Restoration. When water, fire, or mold damage hits your home or business, you need a local team you can trust to respond fast and do it right. Learn more at BuiltDifferentRestoration.com.
Shout out to Guidance Alliance, a trusted peer advisory group for business owners who want honest answers, not motivation posters. Small groups, weekly sessions, ideas that actually work. Visit guidancealliance.com to learn more.
My responsiveness, I controlled all the equation at the time. I was chief cook bottle washer. I was the router. I spent a lot of time on the phones. Then I developed a phone team. And then I went out selling. When I sold too much, I was in a truck installing. So it was kind of this everything. And I could control most of the equation.
Have you personally done pretty much everything A to Z that there is to do in the auto glass industry?
Absolutely.
Okay. So it's not like you had this idea to start it, which obviously you did it with your in-laws, but started, and then you're just running the operation. You've done it. You've been in the trench.
In the trenches. So 5 years of doing that for them, you realize that family's not going to pay you. Mm-hmm. And then their kids were coming out of college with nothing to do. Mm-hmm. And so they gave the glass division to one of their sons, that I had built, and asked me to train him, and then, started, the slow process of pushing me out. But,
making you want to leave is probably what more realistic.
So I got to the point where the one thing I'd learned from that experience is that I wasn't in complete control of our reputation because there was another entity, the automotive side of things. I wasn't in complete control of our reputation, and that reputation followed me places. I've used your company before to replace belts, and I had this experience, and so I started becoming the complaint center for all the stuff I couldn't control.
Gotcha.
So I decided that my reputation in the business was more important, and my word has to be paramount. And so when I give my word that I'm going to take care of somebody, the owner of that company had a philosophy that the customer was wrong until they proved themselves right, because there was a lot of things they were blamed for. Mm-hmm. And so they got tarnished. There's a lot of noises that occur in a vehicle, phantom noises that occur after you've had something done that you never heard before.
Right.
So they got tired of being blamed for things for years, being blamed, and that same philosophy trickled over into auto glass. And I was like, no, this is a different animal. If it's leaking, it's leaking. They didn't create the leak.
Right.
So there were things that I couldn't stand by because they made it difficult. Mm-hmm. They had that you have to prove yourself right mentality. Yeah. So I decided I was going to move on, and I started putting the word out that I'd like to start my own account, buy glass, things of that nature. And word got out on the street that I was looking, and another company came to me and asked me if I would partner with them. They were already established.
Okay.
All they did was glass. And he made it sound real attractive. We would be partners at some point. Mm-hmm. And so I got there with all my grand ideas to a team that was already in place. And a lot of them were mediocre. And, I was prone to speak my mind. I always wanted to get my way, hence going back to my childhood, And so it was important to me that I could honor the commitments that I made to my customers, from the way we handle phones to, the way we handle complaints, all of that stuff. So I spent 5 years building their business, and I guess I rubbed a few people wrong in the organization that, they wanted to see me gone. And when I approached the owner and said, hey, whatever happened to this partnership thing, he said, I don't need a partner. In fact, what I need from you is I need you to sign a non-compete. So after 5 years of building his business, he wanted to lock me down. And the reason that comes into play, I say I started my own business because of a Ford Mustang.
Okay, explain that. Extrapolate, please.
Okay. Seems a little too self-indulgent, but we all have a starting point, the thing that pushes us over the top. There was a Ford Mustang. Technician went out. They were supposed to bring out the windshield with the pony on it.
Okay.
Technician didn't speak very good English, was there late. Guy had waited all day long. And guy says, this isn't the windshield that I ordered. I wanted the one with the logo on it, the pony. There was that logo up the top.
Yep.
Technician said, basically drawing in the sand, will this do? Because he really didn't have good communication skills. The guy's like, just put it in. I waited all day for you. Put it in. So he did, but in putting it in, he cut the cord to the rearview mirror.
Oh, no.
Right. So now the guy's upset. He calls his agent. The agent calls me. I say, hey, to the owner of the company, can we, when we have to take this out, can we go ahead and get him the right piece of glass? And the owner of the company said, no, absolutely not.
What?
His stance was, he should have said something at the time. And I said, well, the story goes that he couldn't really communicate with our technician, and we brought out the wrong one. He had ordered the one with the pony. He'd been explicit about that. I said, I think this is a moment where we need to meet this guy. And we're talking about a $50 piece of glass at the time. And he drew a line in the sand, and I think that was the indicator for me, that they wanted to see me gone. And he said, if you want it done, you pay for it. And so I did. I paid for it out of my commissions.
Okay.
Preserved that relationship with that agent. And he charged me full price.
Wow.
He didn't charge me the $50. He charged me the entire invoice.
No kidding.
And then could tell I was disgruntled and wanted me to sign a non-compete. And at that point in time, I'm thinking, if I'm willing to pay for these mistakes that my fellow employees are going to make, then I need to just go this and do this my way. Because then I wouldn't have to battle the bureaucracy, so to speak. You know, I didn't have a say.
It's awesome to me that it only took you 10 years to get there. Obviously, 2 different stints, 2 5-year stints, we'll say.
I would have stayed at this last company. I love this guy. But his ego, you know, after the company got big, you know, due to a lot of my efforts.
His ego got bigger.
And then he was starting to say, you know, you're either for us or you're against us, but you got to choose, you know. And
it's so crazy because I think back on my life and my career, and I think about, I spent 30 years, well, I'm 30 years in now. I spent 23 years saying someday, right? Someday I'll do this. Finally getting to that point where the stick broke and I'm like, I am done fighting for anybody else on this mountain, right? Getting to that point and getting to the point where you just go, I'm done, because it's not rocket science to take care of somebody the way that you would want to be taken care of. And I mean, it's the cliche, right? The golden rule or whatever, but it's that thing. Our industries are not so different. Obviously, we work very closely in industries, but I think the only thing that really differentiates me from any other agency out there, other than if I'm a massive agency and I've got tons of marketing money and all that stuff, right? That differentiates me. But as far as like truly the policies go, it's a relationship business and I'm the difference, right? I could sell you X policy. You could buy that exact same policy from somebody else if we put it together the same way. So it's really who that relationship is with. And so I think about that with the glass stuff. It's like, is there a cost if you have to redo it? Yes, absolutely there is. Right? But you think about that agent that you saved that relationship with about the pony glass and how many more referrals that agent probably gave you over time that made way more money than that $50 or whatever it was for that piece of glass.
Right.
And to me, it's baffling. And I've been in those arguments with previous employers where I feel like, can't you just see that this is the right thing to do?
Right. Yes. And battling that and knowing that the rest of the team was also rooting for my exit, you know, there were a few that understood. I really knew what I was saying and knew what I was doing. I'd go out with a technician that they would hire. I'd ride with them. I'd come back and say, I wouldn't let him work on my worst enemy's vehicle. He's a hack. And they'd say, he comes with good recommendations. We've seen him install. I said, well, he's installing that way in front of you, not when he's out on the street. And he wouldn't last more than a week. And I didn't have a big I told you so attitude about things. I was just glad I got my way, you know, that it was discovered sooner than later. And,
my downfall amongst all the downfalls I have, don't ever ask me my opinion on something. Right. Because I will tell you.
Right.
If you want my opinion, ask me.
Oh,
and I will tell you. And know that it's not, I'm not coming at you. I'm not attacking you. I'm not telling you that you're a bad person, but you've asked me my opinion on something. Right. So don't you want me to be honest with you?
Right. Well, I agree with you 100%. My wife loves that commercial, you know, the Abe Lincoln commercial where, you know, Betsy walks in and says, does this dress make me look fat? And he goes, my wife's like, that's you. I don't ask my opinion if you don't want.
It's so hard because I've gotten myself in trouble so many times in situations, mostly corporate, where somebody will come in, you got a manager come in and they're like, okay, so what do you think of what's going on? It's like, well, if we did this and this and this and this, it'd be better and things are good. I'd be better off just keep my mouth shut, but I can't. Don't ask my opinion, please. Don't ask my opinion.
Well, I know who to go to if I want an honest.
Yeah. So
you
start Auto Glass Excellence, 2001?
2001. I get the non-compete kind of toward the beginning of 2001.
Okay.
I get that.
Did you actually sign it or did you just walk away?
No, he gave me a week to think about it. I said...
You're like, I'll file my LLC paperwork today.
No, I wasn't all that astute. I hadn't really contemplated. It was always that mental bailout. Mm-hmm. I guess I could do my own thing at some point, but I really didn't want to. I wanted to work for him. I loved the guy. And I think it felt like a betrayal more than anything. It hurt to the core. It was, the first of many betrayals in my life, but that was, one that really one of the first that hurt, because I would have, died on a sword for him. And later on in life, he contacted me and did apologize for the way things went, but it took a long time for him and a lot of anger, because I ended up taking a fair amount of business with me when I left. But prior to that, I had to make that decision. And I looked at my wife, who, we had 2 young kids. We had just moved into a new home. And I said, well, this is do or die. This is my time to either start something or not. And she says, I got your back.
That's awesome. That's incredible.
And we had, 2 little ones, and I was scared. And I filed LLC paperwork. Actually, when I went in, it was serendipitous. I originally wanted it to be AGE, Auto Glass Excellence, but it was Auto Glass Experts at first.
Okay.
And I filed the paperwork, and it was because I wanted the acronym. With age comes experience.
Oh, okay.
That's our tagline.
Okay.
With age comes experience. And I had a lot of experience at that time, 10 years under my belt. And they gave me the go-ahead. So I filed the paperwork, and then they called me and said, it's too close to another company called Expert Auto Glass. As I was standing there, check in hand, ready to the whole thing, and I said, you know what? Expert never sat well with me. Excellence works better, because it's something you always strive for. You can't. You're not there. It's always an action. It's always a movement towards something, but you haven't arrived at expert. You're just in the pursuit of excellence. And on my LLC paperwork, if anybody ever looked it up, they'd see I crossed through experts and put excellence.
No kidding.
And that's the paperwork I have for my corporate.
That's cool. That is really cool.
And that's been our pursuit.
Excellence
In auto glass.
I really like that. I think that speaks a lot. It speaks a lot, for you to have that, we'll call it epiphany with regards to, expert excellence, that whole thing. So what do you think, as you were starting the business, did you lay the groundwork to be different than those that you had worked for previously out of the gate? Or did you just go, I'm going to go shake bushes and I got to make money?
This podcast is powered by Above Par Network, where networking isn't about awkward mixers or endless pitches. It's about genuine relationships, real opportunities, and having a good time doing it. If you're ready for networking that actually works, visit AboveParNetwork.com.
This episode is powered by 5 Leaf Financial, expert accountants, tax preparers, and CFOs who help you make smarter financial choices. If you want peace of mind around your finances, visit 5leaf.net.
Well, I knew I was going to port over quite a bit of business because the relationships were mine. It's never been about the glass company I represented. It was about the relationship I formed with the agents. Going back to what you were talking about, you represent many carriers, but the relationships with Jan. And so you're only as good as your ability to develop a relationship with your customer, because it's not Secura or Acuity or any of those other carriers that are going to do this for you.
Right.
So that was the same where I was. They did a decent job of supporting me, but not the job that I was willing to go to when I started my own business. So my customers were already willing to trust in me because they could see my conviction.
Yeah.
By starting my own business, they already saw that I was a man of conviction, right? Because I didn't do it for the money. Like I said, I would have
Stayed where you
I would
were,
have retired with that gentleman. But
that's incredible. Were there times starting the business? I mean, because to say you would have retired with that individual, with that person, and obviously, there was some betrayal and things that happened in there. But so it wasn't like you were, I don't even know what the word is, pining for, I need to go do this myself.
It
wasn't
I
that
didn't
at
have
all.
that in me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I wanted to make decisions.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be given autonomy to make decisions, whether it was a good technician or a great person on the phone or, maybe help with some of the rhetoric on the phone, scripts, things of that nature. But then I just wanted to be left to do what I do, which was develop relationships. And then be able to say yes when somebody said, hey, can you help me?
Yeah.
I got a problem.
Yeah.
I need you. And I wanted to be able to give them the assurance. And when I didn't have that support any longer, i.e. the pony, I realized now I have to do it my own way.
Yeah.
So put your money where your mouth is, Phil.
Right.
And
You started the business. Were there bumps? Were there things that made you go, oh, I got in way over my head?
Well, we started in 2001, and we all know what happened in 2001. Right?
September?
So the world stopped driving, stopped breathing, and we sat around the TV in that small little office with this gathering of veteran employees that I had recruited. And we wondered if anybody would ever get back to driving and making decisions about auto glass.
Yeah.
And we just held our collective breath. So, that was bump number one.
Yeah.
Right out of the gate. Yeah, there's always a little bit of growing pains. The business came in pretty fast. I mean, the one thing I can tell any entrepreneur that, that leaves all woes is sales. I didn't lack in people willing to trust me.
Yeah.
So once we got past 9/11, we hit the ground running pretty fast, and it kind of overwhelmed my team. And I'd have to do things to remind them that I care.
Yeah.
Because I was out in the field selling, and they were taking care of day-to-day business. I had to put a lot of faith in them, to let them run things while I was out there.
Yeah.
And so that went on for a while. My wife, she was a nurse.
Okay.
She quit the hospital for a little bit, started working part-time, and started helping me with the books.
Okay.
Because we were just drowning in paperwork,
As most business owners are.
Right.
It's like the job after the job.
Yeah. So she was there, and there was comfort in having her there, because she's family, and she's looking over things while I'm out making sales calls.
Somebody that hopefully of anybody has your back.
Yeah.
Right?
And she did.
Yeah.
But then it was time in 2006 for her to go back to work full time. She really felt compelled. She was a labor and delivery nurse.
Okay.
And she felt compelled to help the hospital down the street from us open up. So she was in the ground floor of the new hospital down the street from us, Mercy Gilbert.
Okay.
She was part of the core team that opened that hospital.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that was back in 2006, and that left.
Has that hospital been open that long?
I know, right? Well, I think there was a
smaller
half-year process of opening,
That's crazy.
Yeah. So
that's weird how fast time flies.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's been some bumps after that, because then she left. My general manager at the time wanted to pursue, that was 2006, so he wanted to pursue real estate. So he went ahead and started pursuing that dream. And the person that was left behind was already with me, 5 years, and said he was, Mensa smart and already had basically an accounting degree, so he could handle all the books. He can handle everything Tammy was doing. Just go sell, go do your thing. And there are some things that have occurred
in those early days of getting the business off the ground and moving. Looking back, is there anything you would have done differently then that would have helped excel the business quicker?
looking back, the business was thriving and it was manageable. And I was making more money than I ever dreamed I would make because I didn't get into it for the money. So it wasn't until I started buying glass and seeing the margin and that I could see that
How much was in it?
Yeah, how much was in it at the time. I think I would have guarded that. I would have guarded that from certain eyes, because that's when people change if they don't have your back.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And, that's what happened to me.
Well, I think anytime money gets involved,
Yeah.
it gets or can get ugly quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. And, your wife has your back and she's counting the money. So
Right.
it's all good. But you put that into the hands of somebody that's not family.
Yeah.
And that can change
Pretty quick.
the dynamics.
Pretty quick.
I probably, if anything, I might have duplicated my efforts out in the field. Had another sales rep or two come on board and,
Yeah.
recruited somebody out of the industry. And
Do you feel like there was a time where, let's take that, another sales rep or two. Do you feel like there was a time where you could have probably plugged another sales rep in, and now looking back, you realize how that sales rep could exponentially grow the business, but at the time, thinking of, if you did, hiring another person, the stretch of doing that?
yeah, I eventually did do that, but it came on the heels of a downturn in the business that I couldn't put my finger on. So in 2006, we put the business in the hands of the person left behind. And my wife went back to work. I continued to make my sales efforts. And, we're approaching the high years in real estate, right? So I have money to invest because there's equity in your home.
Yeah.
So, but I start to notice it's not the sales volume is slowing down, but the amount of money in the bank account is getting smaller. And I'd go to my accountant, who was in-house, and I'd say, what's happening? Oh, the industry's changing. They're cutting margins. Glass has gone up. There was always a reason for this to happen, why the bank account was shrinking, and, so I hire somebody thinking, well, I'll duplicate my efforts. So I'd bring somebody on and they'd be semi-successful. And there was never a translation to the bottom line.
Interesting.
They got their paycheck, but mine continued
Didn't
to
change.
slide,
Yeah.
So, this kind of was the theme leading up to 2008. So, what happened in 2008?
Yep.
Market crashes. That's our next big 9/11 moment,
Yeah.
right? So, again, pressures on businesses in 2008. The world is, the sky's falling, and people aren't making claims like they used to make. They're hunkering down
Yeah.
because they're losing homes. And he could point to that. He could point to that and say, that's where the business was spiraling. That's where the business was going down. And I think there was a moment in the middle of my business. Thank goodness I never abandoned my operating principles to take care of people, no matter how low my income got. And it was cut by 3/4.
Wow.
No matter how low my income got, I always took care of my customers. I didn't care if I had to take it out of whatever cash fund I had, in equity position somewhere, whatever it took, I would take from my own personal proceeds and I would make it happen for the customer. So while that was unveiling itself and the business was in that kind of moment where I was feeling dejected, no matter how hard I sold, no matter how many people I put on, my income kept going backwards. There was always an excuse. Hey, the big gorilla is out there, Safe Light, taking business from us, whatever. There was always some excuse. And he was very good at manipulation. Like, I was gaslit from probably 2007 till I discovered in 2015
Wow.
he was embezzling. But in there, you need to know that your gut is your primary source.
Yeah.
Again,
You knew, but you didn't want to know.
betrayal is one of those things where you have to change your entire paradigm, your entire way of thinking about yourself to acknowledge that you put trust and built an entire storyline and life with somebody
Yeah.
that I considered like a son to me. And then to be confronted with the fact that the ultimate betrayal could have occurred in that relationship is something you have to kind of confront yourself,
Yeah.
you know, because that's where it really comes. That's where the work is. It's like, okay, am I really that gullible? Is that how I operate in the world?
Yeah.
You know, from that, and then from that point forward, you know, how will I operate? You know, how am I gonna perceive the world from that moment forward? Do I really want to acknowledge any of this?
Yeah. I mean, that's deep, because I think human nature, when you find out you've been taken advantage of in a situation like that, is to curl up in a ball and want to give up.
Oh yeah.
Right. So it's figuring out, okay, how do I push through? And I guess my question to you was, how did you move forward from that?
So once again, I'm a firm believer. I'm faith-based.
Okay.
I'm a believer. And I looked at this scenario in one way. I was being prepared. So I took back in 2014, after all the stress of continually taking a paycheck home that was less and less and less every year, from 2007 all the way to 2015, I whittled it down to a point where I started thinking, I better start looking at maybe Costco,
Yeah.
Home Depot.
Wow.
Because even though the freedom was there as an entrepreneur, because you're addicted to freedom, you're not going
Right.
to,
Right.
you really don't want to be
Now you
a
become
worker
a
bee.
very poor employee.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Even though you work more hours than you've ever worked,
right.
the thought of going to work for somebody else is like,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Big thanks to Maritime USA for sponsoring the show, helping businesses simplify payment processing and reduce unnecessary fees. If you're tired of overpaying to accept cards, it might be time for a better option. Learn more at maritimeusa.com.
This episode is supported by Rocks Ink Calligraphy, where every piece is created by hand and designed to be remembered. From custom calligraphy and engraving to live event personalization, Rocks Ink turns meaningful moments into lasting art. Learn more at rocksink.com.
But as we go forward in that moment, I had blossomed up to probably 290 pounds.
oh, wow.
Yeah. And I started taking control of my health in 2014.
Okay.
I lost a total of 130 pounds. I got down to 170.
Wow.
I was running. I just decided if I can't control my business, because at the time I didn't know what was happening.
Yeah.
If I can't control my business and I can control one thing, I'll control my health. So I took advantage of some of the freedom that I had, and I just really focused on my health for an entire year. So coming to 2015, I am stealth and healthy and strong. And we make it through 2015, and I'm still making a push forward in business. And it's in 16 that I really discover the unmentionable, what had happened, how I figured it out.
Yeah.
And, it was in 16 that I did that. My daughter was to be married in my backyard in 2017, the beginning of 2017.
Okay.
So I find out, at Christmas, and I've got 3 months to prepare for my daughter's wedding, and we had 250 people invited to, have this backyard wedding. There's a lot for me to prepare for, and I no longer have the freedom to do it because I not only, discover without any refuting that he had been doing this, and to the tune of almost $1 million in a 10-year period.
Wow.
That then we, I've got that backyard wedding to deal with, and it's my daughter, my only daughter.
Yeah.
And she is worried sick that this thing's not going to happen. And you know, she's got reasons to be worried. I mean, the most heinous thing has just occurred to me. My employee that was like a son to me that went to all our family functions was finally discovered as embezzling, and I've got to push forward. Yeah. Right? I was going through hell, but like what, you know, there's country songs and, you know, it's Churchill that said, you know, if you're going through hell, just keep going.
That's right. Just keep on moving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I had no choice.
Yeah.
I think God kind of prepared me for it in a sense. I had taken control of my health. I had, you know, been reattached to you know, my faith spiritually. I'd been going to church. You know, there was just a lot of things that kind of prepared me for that moment. Yeah. And I was fortunate to just have no choice but to keep moving forward, because the idea of disappointing my daughter on her wedding day, her one and only, to her high school sweetheart.
It's like never.
No. I mean, I had one day where I looked up at the sky and I said, I can't do this. Mm-hmm. You know, there was too much pressure because I'm now running my own business and hoping that I can resurrect that. Yeah. And, you know, trying to prepare for that wedding. But I had friends and family and people that were, you know, that lifted me up at times when I didn't think I could. I had a network.
Yeah, and I think that's important. I was going to ask you a question, but I think that's really important what you just said. I think having a network as a small business owner, as a business owner, people that are invested in your success, but not invested in the business, I think is wildly important.
Mm-hmm. But they have to genuinely care.
Absolutely.
It can't be like a vendor
who
wants to see you succeed because they have
because they need to sell you more.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I had a network of people that cared for me, loved me. Yeah. And I was grateful for that. And it wasn't for them. There would have been times that, you know.
Have you gotten to a point where you now, or even before that happened in 2015, where you look back and you feel like I've created something successursual?
It's hard for me to embrace that. You know, you go all the way back to high school when, you know, my mom was telling me how to keep my shoulders straight, right? You know, the things that develop early in life, you know, the lack of confidence. Yeah, I knew my dad loved me, you know, but when I asked if he would help me with college, he said, you know, son, I just don't think you're college material, you know. And he had sent my son, you know, my brother to college, UW-Madison, but my brother was a scholar. He was a smart kid, worked hard. I was one of those kids that just got by. I just, you know, I wanted to be out in the wilderness. Yeah. Just, you know, I was passionate about things, but it wasn't school. Yeah. You know, I just got by. I did what I had to get by and get a degree. And so he recognized that, to no fault of his. He just said, I want to invest in that. Yeah. So I went ahead and paid for my own college. I got 3 years in on a psych degree. I had great grades going, and transferred those to ASU, and, you know, just stopped because work got in the way. And then I figured out that I don't need a degree to
be successful.
You know? And so there was no reason for me to go back other than to prove maybe my dad wrong, and I don't need to do that. He's proud of what I've accomplished. So I live vicariously sometimes through their eyes, right? They're very proud of me. My family's proud of me. They tell me so, and I'm grateful for that. But I don't really allow it always to sink in. Yeah. Because there's still that little voice that goes back many years that says, you know, you're an imposter.
Yeah. Well, we've talked about that too, imposter syndrome, and that's the thing, right? Well, tell me, family. Talk to me about your family. Tammy's your wife.
Yeah.
She's been with you for
33 years. Oh, well, we've been together, you know, almost 36.
Okay.
Since, you know.
Has she ever grabbed you by the throat, slapped you around, told you wake up and quit?
Belly aching?
Yeah.
Well, of course. Yeah. Yeah. Well, she's defensive. She says you're too hard on yourself.
Yeah.
And I don't want to see, I love you, and it hurts me to see you talk like that to yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's the ultimate form of love that she
Absolutely.
can show.
Absolutely.
You know? And she is my person. She's my favorite.
How about the kids? How does the business or lessons that you've learned throughout life and the business translated to how you deal with your kids, have tried to rear your kids?
So, you know, it was a great experience for them to see me go through this. So this was the ultimate betrayal, but I had one other that occurred in 2008. I had a builder that had taken $200,000 from me to start a project, start building another home for us. And then he swiftly went bankrupt and named me in the bankruptcy. And that I was living in Circle G at the time. And I now found myself in a place where I couldn't, I didn't know what this individual was doing to me on my business side. He was eroding my income. This person just surprised me, it was a handshake agreement.
Yeah.
He was a family friend, and he took $200,000 and then virtually vanished. And, it set in motion the fact that I had to move from a 4,000 square foot home into what I thought would be a rental. And again, I tell you that God worked in my life.
Yeah.
I used to walk past this old home, this old little farmhouse, and it reminded me of my home that I grew up in. It's a little slump block home. I didn't know the acreage, but it looked like it was on acreage.
Yeah.
And I used to dream about that little home. One day I'm walking by in this desperate moment where I don't know where I'm going to go with my family because I've got to short sell my home because somebody took all the equity, and ran off with it. And, I'm in that situation, and a sign's up in the front yard of this little house. And I call the guy, and you would think serendipitously he said, yeah, it's for sale, you can have it, whatever. It didn't happen that way. It was, here's the deal. I got a buyer. It's under contract. And my hopes were dashed.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm back to the drawing board. A week later, I get a call. He goes, hey, if you still want the home, here's the deal. I know what you're going through. Your credit's garbage. I'll finance it. I'm a realtor.
Wow.
I'll carry the note. It's your home. We'll go do a quick claim deed, and you'll have a place for your family. And I was
no kidding,
so grateful. But I had taken a 4,000 square foot home, and I had moved it into what was an 1,800 square foot home. My son had his own room, his own bathroom.
A little tight all of a sudden.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, we're living in what one of his friends referred to as, that's like my grandma's house.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So they learned a lot of lessons about being attached to things.
Yeah.
And my daughter learned to love being that close to us, because she was on the other end of a home, a 4,000 square foot home. Now she's right across the hall from us. My son eventually came around, but he was more impressionable. He used to walk back to the old neighborhood. He used to let people drop him off at the old home.
Oh, really?
When he was being dropped off from school.
To make him think that he was still there.
He was still there. Yeah.
Wow.
And it was within walking distance.
Yeah.
But they have learned invaluable lessons by watching me go through this. I don't know if they'll acknowledge them today, but down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
mean, they're 31 and 27. Yeah. So I know that they've learned a lot, though.
Yeah.
But, the things that are important, your family, that's what you learn in all this. I mean, all that other stuff was just stuff.
Yeah.
It was a cabin in Pine Top, and it was a home in Circle G, and now it's a 1,900 square foot slump block home.
Yeah.
On acreage, and I couldn't be happier.
Yeah.
And it was all orchestrated. And none of this happens without all the timing
being
perfect.
Yeah.
And so I believe fervently that.
What's success? Have you reached success? Or what does success mean to you?
Jeez, it's in the eyes of my grandchildren. Watching my daughter raise kids so much better than I did. I mean, I could tear up. She is so much better a parent than I am. And I thought I did an okay job. And I think I did because I see the fruit of my labor, my wife's labor, in the way she's raising her kids.
Aren't grandkids the best?
You know, a comedian once said, if I'd have known how good they were, I'd have started there.
Yeah, right.
You know,
We just got to watch my grandson last Friday, and it's like, oh,
it's love. It's the love of your life. It's amazing, you know, and they adore me. So that's success.
Yeah.
You know, as far as I'm concerned, they look at me and they race to me.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Yeah. Now, have I had success?
Yeah.
Otherwise, I mean,
Do you feel like you've been successful?
yeah. And I've had opportunities, you know, come my way, and I'm always willing to take the risk.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if somebody says this could be a good idea, I'm pretty confident.
Yeah.
You know, I'll throw some money at it, and I'll try to make it work. You know, and we had that opportunity here not too long ago. One of my biggest competitors had sold out to Safe Light, and a lot of their employees were stranded because they don't want to go work for Safe Light. That's where careers go to die. I'm sorry. I probably shouldn't be. You might have to edit that stuff out.
Bleep.
Yeah. So, but the fact of the matter is, you know, one of them who was influential in the business said, listen, I got a lot of business. Here are my terms. Can you handle me? I said, yes. Figure it out.
Yeah.
I kind of gone through ever since the incident leading up to my daughter's wedding and coming through that, I have had a insatiable appetite to say yes and figure it out.
Yeah.
So I have been doing that since 2017, and it's led me to some really great experiences.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're still under, you know, a lot of industry pressures, but, you know, we'll make it through. Like we're doing window tint now.
Okay.
And we're very good at it. So we're reaching out to our past customers who had already had a great experience with us, and they're saying yes. So now we've got another business within a business.
That's good.
We'll figure out a way to make it through these industry turns, you know.
You mentioned the dash between the dates on the headstone.
Yeah.
Tell me what that means to you.
Well, if I could replay my life from the moment I could remember to today, I was always living for the adventure, you know, whether I wanted to be Tom Sawyer, as you referred to earlier, in the woods with my friends, or it was always what's on the horizon, what's the next adventure. I didn't like complacency, and you wouldn't find me in front of cartoons, you know, in the morning. It was a quick bowl of cereal, and I was out the door until the lights came back, and that's been my life. My wife says I'm the Energizer Bunny. She's troubled by how much I do.
Yeah.
Because sometimes she'd just like me to sit and binge watch a Netflix series with her.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful to be married to her because she allows me to live the dash even if she's not interested. She's not a needy human being where, if she doesn't want to do it, then I can't do it because that would make her lonely.
Yeah.
She's a self-confident, self-sustaining person and says, you go do it. So, when I first had my first opportunity to go to Europe, a friend lived in Denmark and had a place on the ocean, and he said, you want to come? I said, yes.
How cool is that?
Yeah, asked my wife, and she says, go, see the world. I know, I don't want to hold you back from who you are. She knows who I am.
Yeah.
I'm an adventurer, and so I will always say yes to a new opportunity that sounds exciting.
How incredible. So in, we'll say 20 years from now, if somebody were to ask your kids about your dash, what do you hope they say?
That they could feel my love.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
That's powerful.
Yeah. That they could feel my love at all times.
Yeah. I think that's I think as parents, and now you're going to make me emotional. Let's jump over that one. But I think as parents, right? I mean, you hope that no matter what the circumstance, that the kids that they know, and I will say people in your life that are important to you, whether it's kids or whatever, understand that everything you've done, every decision that you've made has been to try to do things that will make their life better. Right. So You made me emotional. You weren't supposed to do that. That's a new one. If somebody's listening now and is in the middle of questioning where they're at, what they're doing, maybe in a situation similar to what you found yourself in 2007 to 2015, what advice would you give them to possibly encourage them or move them forward to help them in this time?
Know that if you just take a step, there's moments you'll want to freeze. There's moments you'll want to curl up in a ball. If you will just take a step, literally walk out into the sunlight.
Yeah.
Put your face toward the sun and let it bathe you. And do one thing for yourself that day. Yeah. It will pass. This too shall pass is so cliche, but
it's so relevant.
Take it from my experience.
Yeah.
When I thought, God, could it get any worse than this?
Yeah.
And then I found out it could, and yet I took a step forward, sometimes begrudgingly, defiantly, and it just passed.
Yeah.
And and don't hold on to a regret too long. I may beat myself up in many ways, but I don't regret these things that have happened. If that person wouldn't have stole that money, I wouldn't live in the home I live in. I would have still had a Circle G life.
Yeah.
If that other person that I trusted in my business wouldn't have milked me for so much money to the point where I couldn't, resurrect any of these things I thought I wanted.
Yeah.
I would have remained my heart attached to my wallet a little too much. So the refinement came when I needed it.
Yeah. And
I couldn't see it at the time. At the time, it felt like failures.
Yeah.
At times, I had to change my view of who I am. I'm a gullible person. I must be ignorant. I must be, and all these things that go through, and you have to wrestle with those and say, no, I'm a trusting person, and I care to put my faith in people.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to let this tarnish that.
Yeah.
So if anything, just know it will pass.
I was going to say that I find myself a very, what some would consider gullible, but I think my problem is that I know deep in my heart that whether it's my word is my bond or whatever the cliche is that you want to throw out there, I like to believe everybody else is the same way, which obviously everybody else is not the same way, but you want to be able to say, okay, well, if you say this to me, if you and I have a conversation and you say X, well, X is what it is, right? There's no reason for me to believe anything other than what that is.
Yeah. My dad, your word is your bond. You shake a person's hand and you look them in the eye and you mean what you say.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I took from my dad was give good credit. He's like, you can do anything in the world as long as you got good credit.
Yeah.
So he was right. Through all of this, I have always maintained and tried to rebuild credit. I had to do a short sale, but I worked my butt off to rebuild
get back
credit
into it
because that afforded me the opportunity to invest again.
Yeah.
People would lend me money. If your word is your bond, it's the same when it comes to borrowing money from people.
Yeah.
And so I held out as long as I could in that 2008 period, defiantly, and then eventually it caved.
It took me down.
It
took me down.
But I guess my point to that is that you make it through anything.
Yeah,
you can.
Tell me about Auto Glass Excellence. Where can people find you? What do you guys do?
Well, we replace anything that moves or is glass on a vehicle.
Okay. Do you do pane glass on buildings and houses too, or just auto?
Just auto.
Okay.
We can't tint buildings.
Okay.
No, we do window tint. We're a preferred provider for all the insurance companies.
Okay.
So what that means is, I'm not just using a cliche that says, oh, yeah, we're preferred by insurance companies. No, we're a preferred provider. It means I signed all the network agreements to adhere to their pricing guidelines, as well as their standards for insurances and things of that nature. I have to have a self-standing building. Not self-standing, but I have to have a building.
Yeah.
So I give up my autonomy in the way I want to price things in order to be an advocate insurance customers, so we do that happily because I've, my whole social circle is insurance people.
Yeah.
I've known,
Quite
250 people went to my daughter's wedding. About 50 of them were insurance agents.
Yeah, I'm sure. What has changed in the industry? I mean, obviously, there's no longer $50 panes of glass. But
glass got more expensive, got more complicated to install. It's not, the installation procedure is still the same, but all the gadgets attached to your glass now, a lot of them need to be recalibrated, and we had to invest large sums of money into calibration equipment and, and technology to do that. So, the price went up, but it was prescribed to us.
Yeah.
I didn't get to say, well, I'm going to charge $350 for a calibration. They said, you're going to charge $350 for a calibration, or you're not going to do business with us.
Yeah.
So, so everything did go up. But what happened is there was this this casual affair with your insurance company at one point in time where, and I remember the day when I would say, I can repair that for you, do a chip repair. I can repair that for you. And the customer would respond with, oh, no, I'm not going to look at a chip in my windshield. That's what I have glass coverage for. And so they would just insist that you replace it for a little chip in the windshield.
Yeah.
And they would do that because they were encouraged to do that by outside sources, that said, hey, get 20 free dinners and whatever else. And this doesn't go against your insurance. Well, eventually they enacted a law where they could rate you based on claims frequency. And people that were in that mindset that I get 5-10 windshields a year if I want it. No.
Yeah.
You don't get that right to just go to the well regularly. So I think if you got glass coverage, you use it for a big claim.
Yeah.
When your windshield is broken, it's going to be $1,000 and that's going to hurt you, then use it. But
what would it cost? And I don't know if you can share this on the air. I don't know if that's proprietary information. So tell me, say, nope, can't help. But like, let's say I get let's say I get a chip, just a little rock chip that can be repaired.
We do rock chips for $90 mobile.
Okay. So it's
to
not
the
that
average,
much.
average person, and $60 in shop. But,
so it's inexpensive to get that stuff fixed.
We look at it as a loss leader. And if somebody says, listen, I was referred to you by such and such, whatever, we'll invite them in. And sometimes we do them for free. It's just, it's one of those, we want to make friends by doing the small stuff first.
Yeah.
And keeping it reasonable. And then, when they do need us for something large where it's not repairable,
they call you.
They call us and they remember us, and you can make a lot of friends by just doing nice, simple things for people.
For sure. How do people find you?
Well, autoglassexcellence.com, or we're in Tempe off of Kyrene.
Is your building built back up?
It's back, yeah. We got destroyed by the Tempe storm, but we're back. And so, but the phone number for us is 602-431-6109. That's the best way to communicate with us. Just give us a call.
Okay.
We answer our phones with professional people that are employees of ours. And they know the claims process, and they can process the claim. You don't need to involve your insurance agent unless you want to ask them, a specific question about your policy. But if you know you got glass coverage and you want it replaced,
just call you.
Call us. We can file the claim.
Okay.
We get the green light to help people through that process because of the preferred provider status.
Yeah. Because you know what the insurance companies want.
Yeah.
Or require.
And what you can expect from us is an undying attention to service and a willingness to listen when we fall short.
Yeah.
That's the thing. We're not perfect. That's why the name is excellence and not experts.
I like that. I like that a lot, actually. I really do. I think that's really ingenious. I don't know if ingenious is the right word, but I like it.
It was born out of necessity.
Yeah, right. So, well, I really appreciate you coming on. Is there anything else that we should know about Phil or Auto Glass Excellence that we haven't run through? I mean, I'm sure we could probably sit here and talk for hours, but
Yeah. I mean, you and I'm sure we could find a lot in common.
Yeah.
I'm actually really curious why you got such an obsession with Halloween.
That's a story. That's
Yeah.
a story.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I should share that story sometime.
You should.
I should.
Yeah.
Yeah. It actually starts when I was 5 years old,
Yeah.
oddly enough. And my dad was a teacher. I'll share this because you asked. My dad was a teacher, and they did a haunted house at the high school every single year, and we were with the babysitter. The babysitter took us to the high school, and they were doing a dress rehearsal for the haunted house at the high school. I got somehow behind a strobe light at the end of a hallway alone as a 5-year-old
Oh, yeah.
with what I remember strobe light and the smoke, whatever, and Dracula coming at me.
Yeah, it gives me goosebumps
Oh, yeah.
just thinking
And I
about it.
was freaked out. I mean, scared me to death. For the longest time, I could not go into haunted houses because I was scared of the haunted houses. And then as I started getting older, I went into a haunted house with some friends, and I just became very fascinated with what they looked like on the inside and how you could use light and darkness to make things look like they're something that they're not.
Yeah.
And through that, it kind of just started fascinating me, and just the whole thought of being able to create something like that.
Yeah.
And then I was going through a haunted house, and a character jumped out at me, scared me, and it was one of those, fight or flight moments, and I reeled back and was that close to knocking the person out. And then it got to the point where I just became like almost fascinated with, okay, I need to go into a haunted house so I can get scared. Like I need to feel that fear.
So it was a high.
Yeah. Yeah.
You were getting a high
It
off.
really
And I
turned
got a
it.
feeling there's got to be a psychological component to that.
I would think so, yeah. And it really got it to that point where it's like, okay. And so then now when I go into a haunted house, before I even get to the end of the hallway, I'm thinking, okay, if I was creating this haunted house, where would I be putting things? Where's the jump? Where's the scare? Where's the loud noise? Where's the, and so I'm creating the haunted house when I walk through it. So now, I mean, decorating the house at Halloween, I don't do it scary, I don't think, but I love creating props and obviously the woodworking and stuff too. If I had more space to store stuff, I would have a lot more stuff than I have, because I have lots of thoughts and concepts and things. I'd be like, oh, this would be cool here, that'd be cool there. I've gotten to the point now where I don't even overseed the front yard until after I take the Halloween stuff down the 1st of November, which everybody else has already got their first cut of grass off at that point. And I'm like, so yeah. Started young.
It was somebody at Mabe that said once, if you're not scared, then you're not, if it doesn't terrify you, then you're not living, you're not doing something. And I think, part of your entrepreneurial spirit is living that way. You know what I mean?
Fear, yeah.
In that fear zone. I mean, I'll stand above a black diamond run on skis at 61 years old, and I'll see a bailout and I'll see the moguls. Yeah. And I always choose the moguls because they scare me. Yeah. Because I know what can happen in them. But for some reason, I always choose the moguls. And I think we might be addicted to a little bit of fear.
I think so. Adrenaline. Yeah. I could say adrenaline for sure. And as a kid, I mean, I say as a kid, but in my 20s when I was fighting forest fires and stuff, I was heavily addicted to adrenaline. Yeah. What can I do today to be stupid? Good thing there weren't cameras back. I mean, there were cameras, but none that people carried in their back pocket, to record everything. But yeah, but it's funny because it has evolved over time from a scared, terrified little 5-year-old kid to the point now where, I mean, I've done things.
You faced your fears.
Oh yeah. Exactly. I've done things where, like, I one year dressed up as a scarecrow with a shovel in my hand, and I was slumped by the tree in the front yard, and the kids would be like, is that real? Is that, they'd come up, is that real? They'd get real close. You slam the shovel down and scare them, and it's like I don't know. There's just something about that euphoric, that just does something. So
And knowing that you just created a core memory in there.
right, exactly.
For a bunch
They're
of 6-year-olds.
probably traumatized for the rest of their life.
Hey, maybe they're pursuing their fears now.
They could be. So, hey, well, I appreciate you coming on. Thank you
That's
very
my
much.
pleasure.
Yeah, I do have a gift for you.
What?
Everybody that comes on gets a gift. And I've neglected to mention, but there is a challenge coin there for you. You came on the part of its APN there, but the other side is you went above and beyond.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And then you've been sipping out of this highball glass, but you've got a personalized one now. So
I went above and beyond?
Yeah.
Well, that's perfect because, as you can see, I sip neat. I do, yeah. It's easier to go to town when it's watered down.
Right. So, anyways, but I appreciate you coming on. I really thank you for taking the time.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you.
This is Phil Passante, and I went above and beyond.
We truly thrive.
Before you go, if you want marketing that actually moves the needle, check out lzrmarketing.com. Expert marketing solutions for your business. From websites and social to ads that convert, Liz and Riley help you stand out and grow. That's LZR Marketing, laser focused on your success.
Like, share, and subscribe to Above and Beyond, where excellence meets elevation. Elevate your mindset, one episode at a time.